I am Miss Ann's daughter. I'm number 6 of 7. Miss Ann is my mother.
All right,
This is
yes.
my mother. We lost her in January of 22. I have a
blessing.
Thank you. I have a store in Oklahoma, and she used to be in the store with me selling her products. So she passed away. My sisters and I thought that I should carry it on, and so I got her recipe book. I inherited that, and I continue to make her products in her name. The label you see on here is her original label. My son, after she passed away, that's my son right there.
Okay.
He redid the label and everything for me, and so
Beautiful.
we have new labeling and everything dedicated to her. He also suggested that I make hot sauces because she loved hot sauces, so I make these hot sauces. I have 5 levels of hot sauces, and that I dedicated to her as well.
I'm all for the hot sauce. I like a little spice in my life. I'm all about the spice, that's for sure. Beautiful. So how long has she been doing this family business?
So we have had a store for 2 years. Well, it'll be 2 years in August. But she's been pickling all my life. My grandmother pickled. We had a shed in the back of what was a pump house where my grandmother always stored pickled items. My mom always canned items, like we say. So, but when we opened up the store, my mom wanted to put, do her items as well. So she started out with the pickles, and then she started doing the relish and the chow chows and the vegetables and meal starters and things like that. So,
well, hey, this is some good stuff. I mean, I remember this some time ago when they used to have these. I never even see these pickled peppers and stuff anymore. So, oh, that's beautiful.
So we have things on the website. We have these. We have pickle relish. We have the sweet relish. We have the chow chow, meal starters, and things like that that I don't have with me today, but they can be ordered from the website.
Okay, so you heard, you can order from the website. Do you have a card or shout out the website?
The website is asaisbeautiful.com. asaisbeautiful.com.
And we'll be sure to shout you out some more. Most definitely, you'll catch us on our YouTube channel.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
My Instagram.
Oh, there we go. Check it right here how you can get a hold and check it out. Her Instagram, her Facebook. Yes. Beautiful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, there it is. I really appreciate spending time with the BOBs in my area. These Black-owned businesses have started a legacy. Miss Ann has started a legacy that her children and her grandchildren have carried on. And I really appreciate that. Please continue to support B1 and look forward to seeing you this weekend if you're in my area at the FBA Expo. That's Saturday, May the 27th at 10 a.m. That's over at the Black Academy of Arts and Letters at 1309 Canton Street in Dallas, Texas. There's going to be empowerment workshops, panels, food vendors, and so much more. One of those so much more will be us supporting our BOBs in the area and getting some knowledge and wisdom of our wise lineage and the community at large. Join us if you're in the area, and if not, fly on through. Otherwise, I'll be sure to come back with you with a few highlights. I can't wait. We'll be live. Now back to our regularly scheduled part 2 of OWL Theory, the paternity ward. Let's dive right in. More information about my big mom and big dad. How is it that you guys were brought up? Do you think that education was something that was important? Do you think that Big Mama and Big Daddy, Granny were less privy? I mean, I look at the census and it does say that they could read.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, Yeah. Well,
Yeah, you got that.
they emphasized it. They emphasized it. I felt it was emphasized, but neither one of our parents graduated from high school.
Mhm.
Right. Daddy went to the 6th grade, from what I'm told.
Yeah.
And he was the one that wanted to graduate high school so badly that, you know, if you lived in his house and you wasn't trying to go to school, it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Because you had to go to school. That was something that he couldn't do. So he was really strong about you had to go to school.
Yeah. You got the opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. And do the best you can. And do the best you can.
You know,
so yeah, absolutely it was stress.
Oh yeah, he read until he died. I mean, he loved to read, and he read Roots. I've been trying to. I got his Roots book.
Yeah.
It's so big. Have you ever read Roots, Dan?
Have I read it?
You read the whole book?
Yeah. Yeah.
I said I wanted to read it, you know, because he signed it in the front of it, and I could see his signature there, and I said I'm gonna read this book. And Jesus.
Yeah, it's long. It's a generational book. So yeah, you expect it to be long because it goes over 100 years.
Oh yeah.
Hundreds of years. So the expectation is going to be a long book, a long narrative. You
know, that was a terrible thing that I feel like, you know, he never got over the fact that he wasn't able to go to school, and how they did that to them, you know, to make them go in the fields and do things like that, you know. Yeah. And some of the kids today don't even want to go to school, you know.
Yeah, like I said earlier about the back in those days, when he was back in there in the American South, going to high school in the American South was like going to college too. You had to go to some place that accepted Black people, and you had to stay there, some room and board. So you had to move maybe to where the school was that accepted Black students. And if your family didn't stay there, then you had to pay for room and board. So it was like college. So 6th grade for him, I think Mama said she went to the 8th.
8th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. And this was in Ruralville, Mississippi?
That's where Daddy's from. Mama's from Clarksdale.
Clarksdale. Where's Daddy from?
Ruralville. It's not too far. A little bird. Clarksdale was like a much bigger city. It was like a bigger. Ruralville was just a little one light place. Maybe a stop sign.
I didn't know that.
A stop sign place. Yeah. In the field, in the middle of the field.
So you're saying that they did not go any further than a 6th grade education? Is
primary,
because it was not available to them?
Yes.
But they did, you know, Big Daddy did go to the Army, correct? To the service.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this was not a criteria as far as it is today, that technically you would need to have at least finished high school.
Oh, no.
That's wild. Yeah.
He's
I guess it didn't matter back then or something. Like how was he able to get in with a 6th grade education?
He was drafted. There was a war going on.
Oh yeah. He got drafted.
They call it WW2.
Okay. So he was drafted, and he
was drafted.
Fought in World War II. Now, during this time, World War II, of course, Big Daddy is the 3rd son. He had 2 older brothers.
Yes.
Where were they?
They were essential workers. They were farmers. Farming was an essential, just like during COVID. Essential workers could do what they needed to do. And Daddy was a mechanic. Not only was he not a farmer, but he had exactly the skills that they needed to keep their trucks going.
Absolutely. And those were skills that he just picked up as a trade for himself, and didn't even have to go to school for.
No schooling for him. No diesel mechanic school. Watching the other brother.
Taking things apart and putting it back together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so now, I don't know if this is correct or not, but when I was looking at the census, it was saying that Big Mama's mother, Flora, was very young when she had Big Mama and even her brother. Is that a typo or is this true? And that was
Big Mama's mama, my mother's mother was named Arminta.
okay.
She died young
Very young.
after she had Johnny Lee, which was Mama's older brother and Mama. Jimmy Brown got married again to Flora. And he had another daughter many years later called
John
what's his
Ethel.
name? No.
John Ethel.
No,
Right?
No.
No?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Okay.
Marianne.
Yes.
Marianne, yeah.
Or maybe Junie.
Who's that?
That was his sister.
Okay.
That's one of grandmama's babies that she lost. That was a girl. She lost a girl.
Okay. So this is
That's
Big
Alma's
Mama
mom.
and this is Big Mama's little sister.
No, this was Daddy's little sister.
Oh. Okay.
This is Daddy's little sister.
Actually, Big Mama's mom was named Arminta. That
Arminta.
clears it up because I was really afraid there for a second because those pages did not match up. I was very afraid there.
Yeah. Arminta was Johnny Lee's and my mama's mother. And then he remarried, and some years after they were all practically grown, they had another child called Mary Ann, I believe her name is.
Yes.
Mama's little sister.
Yeah.
She's younger than me.
Yes.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yes.
She's younger than me.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Most
His
definitely.
wife Flora was much younger.
No.
Well, okay.
I mean, I think it's just an attack on us all, though, not just us as, white humans or Black humans.
Absolutely.
I think it's just an attack on us all because, another thing that, I was noticing always in these census from, the 1920s all the way up to the 1950s, that it was a two-parent household. You notice that there was a head of household, there was a wife, there was a father, and children, and laborer and homemaker, and these type of thing might have taken place to cause us to be in this narrative where we are so many broken homes, so many men who hate women, women who hate men, and their children. They hate their children, don't have any love or respect for them, and vice versa.
Well, I can tell you what was partly cause for the dissolution of the family. It was welfare. The government made it more lucrative for you to be without a man. Matter of fact, they had a man in the house rule. You had a man living in the house, they cut you off.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have social workers come sneaking around, looking to see if you saw some male clothing or anything in your closet, try to come in at all hours. You lost the money. You had to be without a male. If you had a male in the house, you couldn't get welfare. You couldn't get health benefits. You couldn't get housing benefits. Called the male in the house rule. And it was cruel. It was a cruel. It tore up a lot of Black families because they were poor. They were better off. And then all of a sudden, people start thinking, this could be a way of life. I can have a kid. I'll get $300. I have another one. I'll get $600. And then I'll get some Medicare, and I'll get some Section 8. And wow. I'll just throw away my ambition. That's part of it. That's not all of it. And then the men felt kind of, yes. And then they start taking it out on the women.
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of trying to do something else themselves. And that was part of it. But yeah, that's, you know, there was a bunch of stuff, but it was poverty. And then you found out you could have a better chance of survival if you could feed your kids if you got rid of that money that couldn't get a job. Maybe if he wanted a job,
Couldn't get a job nowhere.
Or maybe they wasn't trying, I don't know, but he didn't have a job, put it that way. You were better off without him.
Now, you're saying, you know, he couldn't find a job, so it was these aids. Was it not available for women to have a job? Were there still more restrictions about women working outside of the home? Or
They could have had a job, but a lot of times, you know, if you had young kids, it was tough. You had to have the child care was more expensive. When you had extended families, you had grandmothers and aunts and uncles and maybe friends and neighbors and stuff that would help you. But they got a job, you know, and they weren't making a whole bunch, you know, and then it was just a matter of how much better off were we?
Yeah.
It was a catch-22.
yeah. That's very disheartening. More reasons why it was systematically put in place for us to fail and for us to not have generational wealth, for us to not be rich in who we are, our culture, and family.
And then even when I was in high school, this was in the 60s and 70s. You said, what you want to be? I want to be a doctor. The counselors discourage you from, oh man, pipe dream. You better go down and get you a trade, get you welding and become a mechanic. You know, the city hires some trash pickup people. That's where you were steered toward, along with the housing and everything else. The lower echelon.
And the bad thing is, a lot of them people really thought they were giving them people good advice.
Yes.
Because, you know, I think they felt like they were being kind to you by telling you,
that you can, you know, this is a pipe
to get a trade, or, you know, because of all the doors that they knew would be, you know, slammed in your face, you know.
Yeah, this was all the way up. I'm talking about the 60s, 50s, 60s. I was going to school when this was still going on. There's counselors in schools were doing this. High school counselors, you know. If you were really exceptional and you had a good counselor, they might tell you go to one of these historically Black colleges or something every now and then. Maybe you get one or two people in IU or Michigan or something, but that was just the exception. That wasn't not the rule.
I mean, because like when you came out of school and everything, I mean, if you got like the way you came home and you know, you got that job at Bendix and before you know it, you know, you had a home. What, were you like 25, 26 when you got that house on Sankum?
Yeah. Well, I went to the Army.
You know.
I was in the Army for a while, and then I drifted a little bit. I went to school. I went to IU, SB.
Yeah.
And then, I was 25 when all that happened. I was a little bit, I think it took me a year or two to get that. Maybe I got the job at 25, and I think I maybe got the house around 27.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you could walk out of high school then and you know, walk in the Bendix or walk in the Uniroyal.
Oh yeah, these blue collar jobs. There was some very good blue collar jobs. Studebaker back in the day, all these jobs in Flint used to be a fantastic place for Black people. They had these blue collar jobs that were earning good pay. You could get a car, you could buy a house, you could go on vacation, you could raise your family. You could even hope to send your kids to some historically Black college if they were going to get accepted someplace else. I mean, these were not bad jobs. I mean, you weren't going to be rich, but you were middle class.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At least you thought you made it.
Yeah.
You go on vacation now and then. Buy you a new car in 4 or 5 years. Have you a house. That wasn't put nothing out the question. These were good, solid, middle class, blue collar jobs.
Now, do you think that back then you understood the concept of financial literacy of that was basically the American dream, to own a house, to have a car, or do you think that there was any Black-owned businesses?
There was a whole lot more Black-owned businesses then than there were now. Than there are now.
Okay.
There was people that there were Black people own their houses more than they do now. I think one of the bad aspects of segregation was it destroyed Black businesses because it forced the Black people to frequent these businesses. You had to go there and you had to support them, and now you don't. And then it's hard for them to kind of give you the kind of prices that these huge big box stores, even before the big box stores, the A&Ps and the Krogers, and then the Martins and then all them, they can afford to give such a better deal than these little neighborhood stores could give. There was neighborhood stores, there was Chapin Street and Walnut, all that was Black.
Okay.
Barbershops and stores, everything, pharmacies. I mean, the Black Wall Street in what was it? That was in Oklahoma, or was that they burned down?
Yeah.
It was a thriving community. But
And
that
didn't they like a lot of the places that were like Black neighborhoods, that when they started building like the interstates and the freeways, they went through
cut them
a lot
off.
of Black neighborhoods and put freeways through them and everything. Isn't that true?
Yeah, they just cut them right up. That's where they were chosen to go because it was cheaper. And you wasn't gonna cut up nobody's white neighborhood like that. And they did it in California. They did it to the Filipino neighborhoods and Stockton and San Diego and Mexican neighborhoods. Yeah, they just cut right through it. It was broken right up. You couldn't even get from one side of the freeway to the other. The neighborhood was just destroyed.
Wow.
Because it was cheaper to do that. And you're gonna get less resistance. Because when they took the land, if you didn't want to sell, they had a process called eminent domain. They just gave you a fair market price for it, and they just took it. Okay, you don't sell? Well, we're gonna take it from you and give you this much money. That's what you're getting. Move. This highway is coming.
Because that freeway is coming through, or whatever.
Get out the way.
Yeah, I've heard this quite a bit. That was a lot of how any land that was given or provided, that was the way to take it back.
The way to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, eminent domain, they call it. Civic improvement.
We're going to put a park here, so now this belongs to us.
Yeah. So
that's how cool.
Yeah, that was the only bad aspect about, I could say, segregation. I can't think of anything else bad about it.
So now you now patronize Black-owned business, kind to give back, or
that's what we need to do. And I'm sorry to say that I'm not doing what I could, because I can't find none in South Bend.
Okay.
I was at Frankie's yesterday.
So WeBuyBlack.com. I stress
you can't make it online.
I never heard. What is it? WeBuyBlack.com.
We need to do that more.
Absolutely.
The Mexicans do it. The Asians do it. The Jewish people do it. The Black people drive 5 miles to save a quarter.
You go to either you can go to www.webuyBlack.com.
Did not even heard of it.
It is just like Amazon, but it is all Black-owned businesses, Black-owned products. It's basically whatever it is. I mean, it's so many different things. And then you can also go to blackownedassociation.com, and you can actually put in your zip code, and it will give anything from a plumber to a painter to mechanics, clothing, that are all Black-owned and ran and operated businesses.
Well, I'm
We
glad you're
have
saying
got
that,
to,
because I mean, I've never heard of that. I mean, that's
we
not
have,
something that I think a lot of people are aware of.
yeah. I think we got to make a conscious effort to do that. We got to.
Got to make a conscious effort. We got to make a conscious effort. It is imperative that we start to advocate, because that's the only way that our children and our children's children will be able to have a place in this world and survive in the
Yes.
United States of America. I
Yeah.
mean, I know we're talking about, your parents, my grandparents not being able to have a above sixth grade education and want it. And so
Right.
I definitely want my children and my grandchildren to have any type of education that they may want and feel like they are treated fairly in the place that they call home.
Oh, and by the way, congratulations. Little
That's
Michaela.
more, right? I got so many.
I still do the music thing. I don't know what kind of business I would start. I mean, all I could really sell is myself, my talents. So I try to do that and keep that going. But I would like to be involved. Connie wants to get into, like, she wants to like get a catering thing going. She likes to cook.
Okay.
So that's something. So that's something that she's looking into trying to get started.
Absolutely.
So I support her with that, because she loves. She said, "Man, when I get my business going, when I get my truck, I mean, I always encourage her, So
Absolutely.
that would be good. Yeah.
And I think that's important. We definitely need to encourage each other and talk about ways to facilitate our dreams to come true. Basically, how to get a food truck.
Right. Right.
Some tips on how to get a loan for that. Have you registered your name as a LLC? And then you can apply with your EIN for loans, not your SSN, but your EIN, and you'll have better opportunities to be able to get a business loan to get that truck.
Oh, wow.
So definitely we
didn't know about that. This is working out.
About that the other day. I got 2 daughters. I got 6 grandsons. 6
right.
Exactly. Wow.
Exactly. Look at all them. Look at them.
It's like the reverse.
Huh?
Man, my mark is gonna be. I mean, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be able to trace their roots back to Dan a lot, wide and far and wide. Oh wow!
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
And that is a lot of the reason why I started this. Here I am. I'm a grandmother now, and I said to myself, I want to be able to provide something that I felt like my grandparents provided to me. Big Mama and Big Daddy, my grandma Violet, and my grandpa Tommy GP were, exceptional grandparents to me. More so Big Daddy and Big Mama and my grandma Violet. They were like parents to me. And I really want my grandchildren to feel that same care and love. I knew my granny, I mean, my great grandmother, I knew her, and I'm sure that I feel like, I would have known my other great grandparents had they still been around. So that's very important to me, to be able to give back to my grandchildren in any way, shape, or form. And this
I think that's awesome.
They'll have forever, right?
You got that right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got that right.
So it's important to have the opinion of my wise lineage to kind of share with them. And, one day, long after I'm gone, and unfortunately we're all gone, they'll still have something that they can pass on to their kids too.
That's awesome. This is cool. This is good. This is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that said, what are you guys doing? You got any business adventures going on? Me and Frederick actually do have a Black-owned business. Absolutely. Needs Transportation LLC.com. Go right
Okay.
over there. And
I
we
saw
provide.
something on. I saw something on your outline.
Yes,
What does it
yes.
stand for? I don't know.
Yeah. What does it really mean?
Limited
Limited
something.
Liability Corporation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for me. That's for me. You know, I'm retired. I
know.
I went back to work for a minute just because I was just bored to stiff. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I wake
You
up and
still
say,
doing
what
that?
day is it? Wake up and say, what day is it? You know, you need to start doing something.
I would like to take a little bit of that. Let me get a little bit of that semi-retirement, you know.
Yeah.
Let me
I wouldn't mind
like,
Is it Saturday, Wednesday, or Sunday? Let me look at the calendar. I'm not sure. You know,
right.
I'll be 60 in September, and you'll be 71.
yeah, yeah, man. I'm just
So I'm
ready
figuring I'm about to work at least 10 more years. I don't
Yeah,
smoke.
Mom just turned 69 just a few days ago. May the 8th.
She's still working, or she?
No, she's retired. Mom's retired.
Good. Yeah.
Mom's retired, and she's not
You know,
working
that's
at
another
all.
thing. And they say retirement is not about an age. It's not about how old you are. It's about, you know, like money.
finances.
So how do you even know? How do you even know when you want to retire? How do you start that process anyway, Dan? Like,
Think about how you want to live. How do you want
what's
to
the
live?
first thing you got to do? Like,
Think about
how
how
much
you want
longer
to
do
live.
I really have to work? Is what I'm asking you.
Do you still want to travel? Do you still, you know, you want to downsize, or you want to stay in the house or something? You got to look at your finances and say, you know, how many more years, if I'm in good health, do I expect to live? And you know, add a few. Cross your fingers.
So that's how you made your decision. So that's how you decided when you want.
The thing is, how do you want to live? How do you want to live? If you don't want to diminish your lifestyle at all, then you got to figure out, what am I making now? I got to continue to get that kind of money every year in retirement or more. If not, if you can't, then your lifestyle is going to be diminished. So that's what you got to look at. And then how long? If you got savings, how long you expect to live?
How do I make this money for me even in retirement? 401k
Right.
doesn't really do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to just put as much as you can, especially if you got any kind of match. Take advantage of that. Even if it's a 50% match. If it's a dollar for dollar match, you got to try to put as much as you can in that because you're losing that match. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And house, you know, the depreciation of the housing, you know, you're gonna always have some equity if you want to sell that and move to something smaller, live in an apartment or something. That's what most of people's wealth is invested in their home. That's where most of the people's wealth, if they were to talk about their wealth, is usually property, home and property. And like I said, it depends on how you want to live. If you want to live just as good as you're living now, you got to look how much you make in a year. So how can I continue to get that in retirement?
Absolutely.
And most people can't.
Yeah. Where's it going?
So I don't know what to say. I'm kind of fortunate. I've been kind of fortunate to be in good health, you know, enough. Even though I'm not living a luxurious lifestyle, so I'm getting enough to continue to live like I, you know, housing, food, clothing, housing, you know, cars and stuff. But I don't do no bunch of travel or all that stuff. If you want to live like this, you're talking then that's a different story. You know, I want to go to St. Louis. That's why I wanted to talk to baby. I want to go see my sister.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive down there. And I don't have a bunch of time to be spending half a day on the road there and half a day on the road back right now. So I said, I want to fly down there. So, you know, you got to, depends on what your goals are and what you want to do in your retirement. You got to have some money for that. Luckily, I don't have a bunch of expenses, so I'm able to do that right now, especially with this little job. Even without this job, I could have made it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I mean, we always have to try to, look for hacks. I do fly a little bit back and forth because of my children do not live here, of course, and I visit them quite often. And of course, mom does too. So we recently bought a pass that mine's was a year pass and mom's is just the summer pass. But we bought a pass for $500. And we can fly anytime we want, one day ahead for domestic and 10 days ahead for international for $1.
Wow.
I like to become more aware of something like that. But anyway, other than the retirement, my last little thing is I finally sent my manuscript to a publisher. It's a New York publishing house, Page Publishing. So I expect that to drop sometime soon. Like I said, it's not necessarily going to be a commercial enterprise. I've always said that I was going to be self-publishing, so I got some funds set aside for that if it comes to that. Now, if it wasn't, it's taking them so long, and I've been working at it so hard, and I think it's pretty decent. But I'm not going to depend on to make no money out of that. I'm just going to leave a legacy.
Absolutely.
Somebody might want to
it
look at
is
that.
a good read, folks. So stay tuned. That is coming your way, folks, and good read. A little bit more in depth about the Lott family, the Brown family, and the roots. We ain't gonna let it escape.
So yeah, I think you might be able to appreciate that in some years before it all disappears, because it's disappearing fast. This information is disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Willie is the last person I know that was alive. Willie Lott, my cousin, my first cousin, Eric's daddy, Brandon, was the last person alive to could really give me the 411 on how our uncles got killed. My uncles, your uncles, in Mississippi. I'm still sketchy on that. I've heard some stuff years and years ago, and I've already wrote down a scenario that I think is pretty close. And if he doesn't change it and tell me something different, that's what it's going to be. Now, I'm not even sure if that's factual.
Right.
Well, I surely love that when the next time that you are available, either one of you are available to go over there, that we definitely have a sit down powwow to maybe have some discussions about that. Definitely next time on OWL Theory, or anytime that he is available. I'd love to get him. I've heard some stuff too, and I read your book, and a slight variation on it, but I would really love that story. Right.
I would like to know the truth, like you said.
I don't know exactly.
I don't know how accurate they are, though, so I try not to.
Yeah.
Well, I started to do some research with my Uncle Reggie and Aunt Belinda, because they are wizards. I mean, they are genealogists, investigators, and they find articles and different things of that nature. So I would stand to reason that there should be something, type of article or something that should have transpired during that time, that we should be able to.
Yeah. I don't know if it would have made it. I'm not sure. It might have made the paper. I don't know. They probably
would think it would, because
back then. I mean, I would hope it did, but.
Well, you're talking about, even if it made the Negro paper, you would think that there would have been some type of.
Well, there wasn't no Negro paper in Mississippi. Chicago had the Defender. It was the biggest black paper. New York probably had something too. Maybe Memphis, but these little towns like Clarksdale, I don't know.
Well, information. That's how that's how got the Underground Railroad of information too.
Maybe if they have something, I would love to see it. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
me too.
I
Me too.
just don't know.
I'm definitely on the hunt. I'm on the hunt. So,
Okay. Yeah, that should have happened. I don't even know exactly what year that happened. I know that Kenny and Junior were born. Kenny was born in 47. Junior was born in 59. They were born in Mississippi.
Okay.
Steve was born in 51. I was born in 52. We were born in South Bend. So that happened between 49 and 51 is when they had to flee Mississippi because of that.
I mean, the part that you got was that they both got killed in the street the same day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
That part? Yeah, okay.
yes.
Maybe not in the street, maybe in a I kind of sanitized it in my book. I had it in a feed store, you know, hardworking government. But there might have been in a bar or something. I don't know. They wouldn't have been in a bar with white people though.
Right.
They wouldn't be going to the same kind of.
It was that same old thing that we've heard a lot of times. We've seen it in movies. One of them was supposed to have whistled at a white woman and said something to a white woman.
Yeah.
And
well, I heard the dude was a tough block. I heard he hit a white man. That's a cardinal sin. And another white man shot both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how it happened, where it happened.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how.
He put his hand on a white man.
Yes.
That's the story that has been pretty consistent. Where, what, and when, exactly, I don't know, but somehow or another. And it wasn't a bar because they wouldn't have been in the same bar.
Right.
Maybe in a feed store like I do, they had to go to the same kind of stuff like that. They were farmers. So that's more reasonable than a bar or right out on the street. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but exactly Willie might know something more.
Yeah.
Willie probably, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure, because like I said, I have heard a semblance of a story from Big Daddy before. When I got the talking to. And then I talked a few years when I was really big on, you know, getting the genealogy and kind of getting these stories. Uncle Willie did tell me a story. And basically kind of like what Dad is saying, that it was some type of general store type thing that took place, but that, yes.
Some kind of altercation.
Some altercation took place and they were both killed on that very day.
Yeah.
And
somebody supposedly sent for grandma.
Yeah.
They sent for grandma, and when she got down there, some guy told her, "Get out of here."
Well, she was
I'll kill you too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I got that part of the story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as far as I'm concerned, and when you think of that, it almost seems like it may have not even got in the paper. I think those kinds of things happen. So
that's what I'm thinking, because somebody was getting away with murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think it would have, unless it was a black paper, which there was none in that little town. Right. That I don't know how far and wide, and how short story filtered, and who said it and what.
It was basically probably just talk about town. They talked about town, and that was probably it.
Mm-hmm. But it definitely changed the movement of our family, because we went from Mississippi to Indiana.
It was time to get out of there. Yeah.
I was gonna say I wasn't sure while you were going. I was saying it had to happen between 49 when John was born and 51 when Steve was born, because me and Steve born in Indiana, South Bend, and those two were born in Mississippi. So it happened. That's the reason why they fled. The whole family, all Willie's mother and the Flint group of lots. That was a Jewish family. His wife was named Mary. Willie's mother was named Flora. And my mama, them women fled with their kids from Mississippi. Fled with the boys because they didn't want to see any more of them get killed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are we going to do this? Because my phone's about to die. Are we going to do this again soon, and maybe we'll get more people to jump on?
Absolutely. That is the plan. I would really love for you guys to come back on.
No doubt.
And
love to
share your opinion of your wise lineage. And all right,
Love you.
Thanks.
Love you. Love y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, look at the journey. We're just getting started. Woo! OOWL Theory. The Paternity Ward. Next time, tune in. I'm looking forward to it. Are you? Ooh.